Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to one of Tyler's tech tutorials. And we left off with building a virtual hard disk on our virtual machine, running on the host machine with Hyper-V installed. It is still building a virtual hard disk. Okay, so it's actually finished. Very good. It takes quite a while to build a virtual hard disk, depending on, even if it's if you're initially creating one or importing or so we're going to apply and click OK. And I think we are now ready to begin building this virtual machine. So it's a server running on Hyper-V, Windows Server 2016. And we are going to build this as a domain controller. So I'm going to right click and go to settings. No, actually, I'm just going to double click on it. See how it's currently off? We want to turn it on. And it's going to ask me to hit any key to continue. We want to click enter or space bar. And it's going to load the files from that disk image that we mounted on this virtual machine because we want to install from that image. So that's going to take a few minutes. Now I currently have a virtual machine. This is DC2 running in VirtualBox. So standard practice when you're running Active Directory domain services, you want to have at least 2 domain controllers. That way you want to balance out the load from each machine. So if one goes down, you have another that will take its place. The biggest reason why you want to have 2 domain controllers is redundancy. Think of a power strip. You plug into a power strip, in case you have an electrical outage and you have a really expensive device plugged into your outlet. You could fry it. So, similar analogy for domain controllers. You want to have at least 2 domain controllers, like a backup for redundancy. So let's actually go into this virtual machine and see what it looks like. It's already set up, configured as an enterprise domain services. It already has Active Directory domain services installed. I already configured this and deployed it as a domain controller. Now, when I first started this lab, I had issues with the first one that I had built. Or what is it? Yeah, the first one that I built was DC1. And I got it back online for a few minutes, and that was just enough time to transfer FSMA roles. That is, I transferred the main responsibilities from the DC1 to DC2. So now this is the primary domain controller for this network, which is good. But I want to move it off of this. So this is why we're actually going through and demonstrating this lab. So let's bring that back up. Very good. We have Windows Server 2016. We want to click next. And we want to install now because we are doing a fresh install. When you're first building a machine with an image, it's very simple. Now, when you're upgrading a server from, let's say, server 2008 R2 to 2012, that can be a little more complicated. There's additional steps involved, but for the most part, it's simple. And I want to select the standard edition. I mean, I could go data center, but we're going to stick with the standard. Now, this is a GUI that is a graphical user interface. That means it has icons and plug and play ability. So I can use my mouse, I can drag and click, I can find tools that I need to. Now, if I went with the standard evaluation core, it would be nothing but command line. So I would have to, anything I have to install, configure, would all be through the command line. I would have to configure each role that I install using PowerShell. Now, most people will be like, oh my God, you're crazy. Why would you want? It's actually not too bad. Once you get to just the PowerShell and managing Windows servers, it's actually very useful. We're going to do a server core feature later on. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. So we're going to do a custom install. All right, we have 2 drives that I installed on here. We're going to, leave it default. We're going to click next. And that's going to run the installation. Now that's going to take a while. So we're going to leave it alone. By the time we get back, it's going to say, enter password for your administrator. What would you like your password to be? Blah, blah, blah. And then it will take me, it'll look like this when it's finally installed, except it's not going to have these roles installed because we're going to go through and install them. So with this machine that currently has Active Directory, so I want to go to users and computers. And here we are.